I'm following lots of different people on Snapchat and thinking about the different ways they tell stories. People have been telling stories for millennia, and narratology is the study of how people tell those narratives. And we use different narrative techniques depending on the technology we're using to tell our stories. Fairy tales and other stories that are meant to be told in person with the voice often use things like repetition and rhyme to make them easier to remember. Whereas novels are much longer and can use much more complex narrative techniques. So what is a narrative anyway? Is Snapchat really narrative? There are several minimal definitions of a narrative, but this is one. Events organized in time. One thing happens, then another thing happens. That definition covers a Facebook feed. And it's kind of how Facebook thought about their timeline, I think. Do you remember when this video launched? They got rid of timelines since. A lot of narratologists would say events and chronology aren't enough. You've got to have causality, a reason why those events are connected. But we humans are actually pretty good at piecing together events to figure out what caused what and how they fit together. Snapchat stories certainly has that feed thing going. There are events and they're organized chronologically. Most of my friends use stories to share just random things they think are fun or pretty or interesting or silly. That's kind of how blogs started out too. It's a collection of stuff we like. I found some people who've added in the causality to really tell a story. Of course, when you're telling a story with images, the causality might be quite implicit and not explicitly spelled out. Ulrika Linnea posts funny little quirky stories where she goes out and does something. Thomas Mullen goes for a walk every morning and shares some marketing advice in a series of videos. Laura Barris is a Brazilian who shares stories that are a series of still images often, using text in a really interesting way. She's actually writing her master's thesis on Snapchat, so that'll be interesting to follow. But I think one of the most common narrative techniques on Snapchat is repetition, actually. Because Snapchat is ephemeral, like the human voice is if we don't record it, you have to do the same thing again and again to have a consistent presence. So every day, Dan the director goes out and shows it how he's setting up his amazing photo of the day. And every day he sends us to Instagram to see the results. Jay Khaled is probably one of the most successful, most popular Snapchat story makers. This YouTube compilation is from December, but if you follow him today, you're going to see images similar to this. And you're going to see the same kinds of texts on labels. We see the same kinds of events again and again. And of course, he uses his specific emojis and his specific sayings. Bless up, success. Actually, Khaled's Snapchat has been called a meme all of its own. There's got to be so much more to say about narrative in Snapchat stories. If you know about people who are doing interesting stuff on Snapchat stories, please let me know about it. I'd love to have a look.